And welcome to News London Brunch After Hour. Hi, ladies. How are you today?
Doing well.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you, first of all, and thank you for joining us. And Kat, thank you for joining us and being our special guest on our first premiere of our extended episodes.
Thank you for having me.
Um, Normally, our viewers, that do watch us, they normally see all six of us. For this season, I wanted to try something a little different, bring on new faces, and have more people engage with us versus just behind the scenes. Um, this topic tonight, we brought it up into the brunch room, and it seemed like I got a lot of feedback on that topic, and I felt like it should be further elaborated on. The topic, going through pregnancy or delivering a baby alone, is traumatizing. It's
Excuse
uh
me.
it's not a story that's really discussed, but I hear a lot of pain behind it when I hear it from women, which is also my reasoning as to just asking, preferably hearing from the women on the brunch with another individual. This is for me to more or less paint the picture for viewers, male and female, that can identify and maybe understand, and we can shed light on this particular subject because it's not a competition, male and female. It's more of a open understanding. There are certain things about men that women are never going to understand because they're never going to be able to experience it, and there's things about women that men will never be able to experience or have empathy and understand fully because they don't may not know the depth. They may not really know the story behind it, and no difference from you, me, G, any of us, we all have our own different story as far as delivering children. I mean, it's something that women do, it's something that has been done for the dawn of time, but there's a lot behind it. It's totally different from what our ancestors, our grandmothers and grandmothers and grandmothers before us went through. Like, to think about what we go through and it be traumatic for some of us during this day and age, 2020s, or even from the 90s up, however you want to look at it, whenever you had your baby. I can't even imagine the fathom of how my grandma went through doing that 9 times without maybe anybody, without comfort, maybe not in a clean place, like just the magnitude of stress, and then raising children, and then living through all that. So this topic was to really shed light on women and commend women that do deliver and bring children here, by choice, and they go through the hard. It's nothing small what single women do, what women mothers do. It's not a small task, and it's not just something that should be celebrated on Mother's Day. It should be recognized. Just like fatherhood, it should be equal when it comes to recognition. But having children, actually the process of having them, is not always beautiful. It can be traumatizing, it can be painful, and sometimes very, very daunting to come back from, to be yourself. So that's just my 2 cents on it. We can get back to asking, my personal perspective on it, but I want to go to UG and you hear your perspective on it. What would you like to share with our viewers today, our women that might need some courage through a dark time, such as having a baby, or having a baby alone, or feeling lost, as far as that?
Um, Basically, kind of what you said about, when we do have children, of course, there's a mother, there's a father. So we both genders know what parenthood is like. But like you said, you don't know. We carry a baby for almost a year. A year, okay? A whole year. We build a human inside of our body. And now I know I got pregnant when I was 20 years old. I had my son when I was 21. So looking back now, being 32, 20 is still a baby. I don't care if you say 18 is an adult. Everybody has their opinion on that, whether you can buy cigarettes or however you judge what an adult is. I believe going through your 20s, you are probably the most frazzled you'll be in your life, and you still are a child. You're learning and things like that. So to start motherhood at that age, for one, you kind of don't know what to expect, and you hear the good part of it. Oh, a new baby, and everybody's excited and all that, but nobody talks about being sick or mainly being alone. Or in my case, I wasn't alone, but I felt that if I was alone, I probably would have been better off. Just because, I guess I can say for my son's father, he was a child too. He's 3 years older than me. But I mean, he was never there. He was out ripping, running. I got phone calls constantly about this girl and that girl. Meanwhile, I'm home in the bed, growing a baby, working full time, trying to plan for this life. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like, but I know it's going to be huge, and I'm trying to prepare for it. And dealing with the stress of this man doing whatever he wants, not contributing to getting this life ready for this new life was one of the most exhausting things that I've ever dealt with. Like, I don't think that the person I was prior to getting pregnant, I'll never ever find her again. I mean, I can even look back at some pictures and in my face just looks so innocent and like happy. Like, I have no clue the mud that I'm about to be dragged through. And I can look at pictures after and like you see it. It literally shows on my face, like the hurt that you go through. You know what I'm saying? Of having somebody's child and them not really treating you like you're building their child. Um, So I just want men to like really think about it and take a second. Nowadays when the debate comes up, it's a lot of, oh, well, you know how babies are made. And if you're not ready, if a man's not ready, then you shouldn't have got pregnant in the first place. And you should make sure that you're settled and married or whatever the case is. And honestly, the only thing I have to say to that is, would you say that to your mother? Look your mother in the face and say that to her and see her reaction, because I don't think a lot of them would. And it's crazy because a lot of the men who say this were birthed by single mothers who struggled to give them a good life and, dealt with getting hands put on them from their father and things like that. So just kind of have a little consideration for women as a whole, regardless if the man wasn't ready. They both knew how a child was created. The child is created. The least you can do is show respect to the person creating it. And that's really my opinion on it.
Thank you for sharing that, G. That was heavy. That was personal. You didn't have to share that. So first of all, I commend you and thank you, and I appreciate you for that. Because to have a baby young is mind blowing to me. And me, just to share something a little bit about me, I am married. My children are by my husband. Um, I've had two different experiences. I had the experience of having, I would say, a really nice pregnancy for my first son. Ate right, everything went well, nothing was too crazy. The only thing I didn't have was my mom, that hurt, that really really hurt me. She was at chemo during that time, so she couldn't be there, but she came afterwards, and when she came afterwards, she wasn't I would say she's probably disappointed or hurt that she missed her opportunity to be there for me, but she kind of took it out on me as if I was the problem. But that's, hey, a lot of things, that's some other things to unpack. But when I had my other son, when I was pregnant with Damari, it was during COVID, and my husband wasn't there for any appointments. Um, we had just gotten married, so you think newlywed stage was just supposed to be super great, and it was really, really, really lonely. Um, because he couldn't go to appointments, and I'm not saying that he didn't do what he was supposed to when he was pregnant, but he was very distant during my pregnancy. Like I said, he never went to any appointments because he couldn't go. And I don't know if that stripped something in him or not, to be just distant and maybe consider to question things, and you know what I mean, and things like that. So that was just like some unexpected stress, especially after just getting married and having a baby, a second one, not the first one, but a second one. So I got to see an image of what I've seen some of my friends go through. The only thing that I went through is that I truly tried to question, like, okay, Janisha, are you going to take all this seriously right now? Or are you going to think, with your mind and not your emotions, because you can't really control your emotions, and either push this issue further, make it angry, go for a divorce, end up like my mom? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was at a pivotal moment where I had to be the bigger person while I was pregnant, how I wanted to handle my family over something that just didn't even exist to existing just because I was pregnant. I don't know if it was mourning, I don't know what it was, but I lost my mom, I got married, and I was pregnant, and COVID happened. Just two depressed people having a baby, but been together for years, and love never changed, no problems. But that moment changed. That moment changed me, it changed him, it changed us, it changed everything. My second son. And then he was born, and things just went back to normal, and it was weird. But I hated everything about my pregnancy. I ate horrible. I didn't take care of myself. I was depressed. I had preeclampsia. I almost died having Demaria. I had to get a vacuum, like all kinds of scary, crazy things that I never wanted to go through, because I never got pregnant because I had a fear of being pregnant. I've always had a fear of having kids physically. I want them, love them, wanted them, but to physically be pregnant, I used to be paranoid as hell. Like, if I stand behind a door, is somebody going to open the door on my stomach? Like, weird, crazy, paranoid shit being pregnant. I hated it. It was anxiety both times for me, made me nuts. Like that, you know what I'm saying? The flutters, what is that? This is Alien versus Predator. There is something in there. The only moment during the ultrasound, I was like, oh, is that a foot? She's like, no, that's a penis. I said, oh, it's a boy. It's cool. You're fucking in there. Excuse my language. Like, it's a lot. All that, you got people running. I think the craziest part is like when you can't get the baby out and you feel it stuck in your canal, and you're like, yeah, whoa, somebody get him. They're bringing the vacuum, bringing all the white people, yeah, with the gloves and the mask and the scuff, and just spread you and flip you, and you're like, yo, what the fuck? Yeah, pregnancy made me nuts. So delivery terrified me. It's beautiful when they come out like Jello. It's a Jello feeling a little bit. It's weird. They come out like I feel like I'm like a
No, the pain is completely gone. Like once you get them
yes.
past that part right there.
Because I say snapback immediately, more like a snapback.
Like, okay, that part. Because listen, that vacuum cleaner, I know that vacuum cleaner you speak of, because my son got stuck right here. Like head, they could see it. My blood pressure is going up, his is going down. So they're like, listen, we have a couple options. We have like a suction we could use. I'm like, get the suction. Like, his father's talking about, his father's like, well, wait, is it gonna? I said, later for his questions and all, go get the suction, get it out and take it away. And I don't know if like people who don't have children know, but most of the time the doctor will ask you before they pull the baby out if you want to have skin to skin, like soon as the baby comes out, if you want it placed on your chest, which they say it's good. It's like your first bonding moment with the baby. So of course, before I started pushing, I was like, yeah, skin to skin sounds good. Man, that baby got stuck, and they put the suction, popped off his head once, they put it back on. And by the time that baby came out, they tried to bring that thing up. I said, put it over there. Put that thing over there. Don't even bring it up there. Go get it away. Because I was finished. I was through. But once it's out, it's like, I had no pain. And I ain't have to get no stitches either. So
see, no, yeah, I got the tragedy of stitch. I got the tragedy. And I was traumatized. You know how embarrassing it is to come in. Oh, hey, how you doing, Miss Reynolds at the time? Oh, hey. This is for your coochie. You just scrape the bottle on it to, make it.
Oh yeah, the bottle. Yes, I love that warm bottle.
Ma'am, what? Best friend. I don't want to talk about this with you. I'm actually very upset about this right now. Like, is she
for real?
Like, fucking pissed. Like that whole experience, not for it, not for me. And I was just praying to God the whole time. Please no cesarean. Please don't cut me. Shout out to you.
Do you have
Shout
to get the
out.
stitches taken out?
No, I'd have to go through the stress.
They dissolve.
Yeah, he was my favorite. God chose me
See,
for that.
my OB, he kept going like this, like while I was dilating, he kept taking his fingers and going.
Oh, that's so. I'm sorry.
Like, and at first, I wanted to kick him in his neck. I was like, "What is that?" But you know what? He was stretching that thing out. Okay, he was getting it
Do you
prepared.
hear this, gentlemen? Do you hear the
He
stress?
was stretching that thing out like a
You hear
boomerang.
the
He was like,
stress
listen,
we go
girl,
through?
Yep, and
we
it,
gonna have to make this a little flexible right now, baby.
I didn't tear, and I was small. He was like, "You shouldn't have pushed that baby out. Like, you should have had a C-section." My son was 8 pounds 9 ounces, and you can't see me on camera, but Cat, I'm tiny, like petite. There was no way I was supposed to push that big ass head out, like at all.
Oh my Lord, girl, he tried to snatch you. He tried to snatch you with that hair, baby.
Poochie still
But
tight.
you
Though.
hair.
Poochie still tight. Poochie still
But it's
tight.
not that whap. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Okay.
That part.
Not for nothing though. My experience, I had I had the good experience that was, your first one, and then the second one I had that whole never again. That was the never again. Like funny, no haha. This time it's serious, real stuff. Never again. Blessing,
Yeah.
love my sons, but never again. Ever for me.
Listen, my son's going on 11, and we ain't had no other children in this womb. So,
Listen.
But before we get all funny, seriously, and like making jokes and stuff, I really wanted to hear Kat, because I personally don't know Kat as well as Janisha does. They're a little more familiar with each other, which I'm hoping that will change in the near future.
Cause it will. You
when
already
you
my
pull up and
bestie.
pop
Stop,
out,
girl.
you know what
I
I'm
claimed
saying?
you long time ago, girl. I claimed you long time. Take my love. Accept it
So
into your
I'm
heart.
very interested in hearing about your experience and some of the things you
Of
went through. I
course.
don't know if it's happy or sad, but I didn't want to get all silly before you got.
It's okay. It's a little bit of everything. So I have 3 kids. So my first son, he's 11, like your kid, and I had him from a previous situation. So the guy and I wasn't in a relationship, so I could relate to girls who just out there being fresh. You got pregnant, and I don't believe in abortion, so I had my son. And what was difficult for me with that process is I felt like him and I had a good enough relationship that he would have at least been there to co-parent. Completely disappeared. So I wouldn't say that was hard on me because I think I kind of prepared myself for that. So I won't even lie and say it was hard. And also, I had a really great support unit with my family. So I didn't feel like I was lacking or wanting for anything. I think the only thing that round me is like usually as a woman, we have this perception on what we want to do when we finally have a kid. Like we want to go to school, we want to graduate, we want to get that degree, we want to get our career started. And once it's in a decent enough place, then we get a good man, a good partner to settle down with. Then we have that baby and that carriage and all that fun stuff. But reality is, it don't happen that way. So that was more of the depressing side for me is that I felt like I failed my life's goal plan. And like, I'm only 22 years old. What the heck I'm going to do with a baby? But I think that baby also, my son Rowan, he came at a really great time in my life because I also was outside wilding. So God was like, baby, sit your ass down, girl. And Rowan helped me not kind of, he helped me rediscover myself and get my life back on track. And also understand just because I was a single mother, it did not make me a statistic. It just made me another story to help encourage and support other women who've been through this. And one thing I do recommend is a doula. The best, listen, when I told you that doula hold it down, she was like my baby daddy girl. She went to all my appointments with me. She got me a breast pump. Like she was awesome. Anytime I felt like she was such a great support unit, she even came to make sure I got my epidural in my back. That was no joke. Let me tell you about these contractions. Now, my son Rowan, he was an easy pregnancy. He was 7 pounds 7 ounces, but I carry relatively small. I didn't have no morning sickness, all of this crazy stuff. I didn't have the swollen nose, none of that. Perfect pregnancy. But for some reason, that boy didn't want to come out the pum pums. Okay, my cervix was closed, so I remember going to the hospital the day before my due date because for some reason my water bag broke, but my cervix was still shut. So it was like a mystery. So we got there to the hospital. They induced me, like I say, 9 o'clock at night. My water bag burst like 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember the nurse came into the room and she was like, you smell flowers? I was like, girl, is baby sack supposed to smell like flowers? I said, well, girl, I guess it smelled like flowers. My water broke, or I think I pissed myself. So she came to check, and my son came the next day, easy pregnancy, just like Kat says. As soon as I have that baby, pain gone, done, happy, great. Beautiful pregnancy with my first son. My second son, which is with my right now, I'm going through a divorce, and so just to speak on a lot of women who are going through a divorce right now, you did not fail. It is not your fault. It's not your partner's fault either. Even though they may have done things that may have add to the strife, you both did your best. It's good to take accountability and move on if that's possible. Now, I come from an abusive situation, and a lot of women deal with that. And at this point in my life, I didn't think I would have been able to talk about it without bringing myself to tears, but I'm Gucci now by the grace of God. But it's very difficult when you are going through a pregnancy with someone who's supposed to be your husband and you don't feel fully supported. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad guy and stuff like that, but there's little things add up to big things. Often men forget that and they get comfortable. And I think that was the situation. It's not like he didn't want to be a father. It's not that. It's just like he forgot that you actually had to be there with that whole process. Yes, he came to ultrasounds, but that's all you came to. And sometimes I needed someone to walk me when I was carrying a baby that was 8 pounds, 4 ounces. My son, a umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, and he was facing the wrong way. My pregnancy was very difficult. I had preeclampsia. My entire body was swollen, my hands, my feet. People don't tell you, but you grow up in at least 2 foot sizes when you're pregnant. You develop gestational diabetes when you're pregnant. You find out that you actually have cancer when you're pregnant, for instance, leukemia. I didn't have that, thank God, but that's something that happens to women. I had alopecia. I'm bald. So imagine having bald spots. They don't tell you with the lack of calcium, you actually lose teeth. You do. Your teeth break. They don't tell you that you develop skin issues. So I went through a lot of that and I felt depressed. I felt it was a lot. And on top of that, I suffered from plaque psoriasis. So with the baby already taking 3/4 of my blood and everything else, my skin was looking crazy. And I didn't feel, and I felt just like Janisha mentioned, I felt alone, just like you mentioned, you feel alone. We are not alone, but you felt alone going through that process. And on top of that, you had a person that you felt like was taking advantage of your naivete because this was my first marriage, like I never played house. That's a term you use in the Caribbean. I never went and have sleepover by my house, anything like that. I waited until I got my person, got married, and not we sleeping in the same bed. That's just how I was raised with my Caribbean values, and I'm pretty sure some of y'all have the same as well. So I thought I was in a good place, but honestly, all I felt was unsheltered. I felt the rain pouring down on me all times. But it's as much as I hate saying this, I hate having to be strong when we know we're strong, period. We are supposed to be strong. That's how God built us. That's how we are built naturally. We have a strong will as women, but we're not supposed to be strong in the sense of like we are not the wall of China. We are not. We actually want to be submissive. We want to be with someone that understands the process so they could be there for us. So when you take that away from us, it puts us in a shell of ourselves. On top of that, having to carry a whole human being. Sometimes some women may not want to admit it, but I will admit it. When I had my son, I didn't want him because I told, my husband at the time, we were not ready. I felt like we needed at least 2 years to really get ourselves in the door. So I felt like he forced something on me. And that's something that a lot of our women are scared to talk about. A lot of men don't want to bring up. But sometimes men force pregnancies on us and they think because they are our husbands is okay. But if I'm telling you I'm not ready right now, shouldn't you respect that? So there's a lot of stuff that I was going through, but I love my son. That was a hard pregnancy. My last pregnancy was my daughter. I love her to death, my baby girl. Nobody expecting her. She was my little rainbow baby. And when I found out I was pregnant with her, I was stressed because another thing I will share with you all, at the time, like I said, my husband couldn't keep his hands to himself. He had choked me almost to death. My ears had popped. My throat was swollen. I had to go to the hospital. I couldn't talk properly for like 3 months. And it was a hard journey. And I had an ACS case and I had to put a restraining order on him. On top of that, he didn't let me breathe. You feel me? Every minute she was just on me, on me, on me. And on top of that, I'm hormonal. So it was very difficult for me. But I thank God that I had, again, family. Listen, having good family is a blessing, especially at this time. And it's not just mother or father, just having people who are village there to support you is very necessary. And no matter how strong we are, we adults, we need a village too, not just children. We need to know that people are genuinely in our corner, not the one who say, "Girl, you pregnant, girl, I got you. I had those same people. I got you with the Pampers. I got you with the wipes, girl. We gonna throw you a baby shower." Where that at? My son is 11. My other son is 6. My last kid about to be 3. Now, if I was sitting down here dependent on y'all and a lot of stuff that people promise me, I will be in shambles. So what I'm telling people is okay to be strong, but don't be too strong that you're afraid to ask for help when you have people around you, if you actually do have a village. Now, if you don't have a village, don't be shy to build one. My mistake in an abusive relationship was keeping everything quiet and protecting the person. And sometimes that's the time when you need to go get a speakerphone. Matter of fact, go get a conference, boo. Let them know how that man is. We hide for these men, and sometimes women are abusive too. But in this case, as we are talking about men, they are very abusive and narcissistic. I know people say, "Girl, woman like to choke." No, if you understand the term narcissistic and its value and the ramification that comes behind a person that is, especially when that person comes from trauma and a broken environment and they never got the assistance that they need to get them out of it, they hide it up and they come get with you. And then they don't talk about how these men break you. Men talk about during pregnancy, we forget about them. We don't understand that they go in postmortem depression. You guys do. Some of you guys get the low symptoms, but you don't get the missing hair. You don't get the missing teeth. You don't get the stretch marks. Yes, I had stitches too. My daughter was only 6 pounds, 4 ounces. She tore my cooch up. Matter of fact, she couldn't even come out. It was so painful. I had to be on oxygen because I wasn't getting enough oxygen in my body for both of us. So basically, me and my daughter was in limbo. We could have died literally giving birth. I don't think I shared that with Janisha, but I literally could have died almost giving birth to my daughter, and she was the smallest kid because the amount of stress my ex was putting me through at the time. Instead of focusing on us having the baby and bringing her into this world safely, he was trying to force, let's work it out, let's work it out. And I was more focused on my health. So the selfishness also increased a lot of stress. The police and them was that was already at the hospital watching him because we had a restraining order, but they allowed him the privilege to be there for his. So it was so much. And I want to tell women that I've been there too, but look at my now. And I went to postmortem depression as well. I was 320 pounds after I had my daughter. I had my daughter in 2019. COVID happened, depression, anxiety, everything was horrible. And the mistake I make, and a lot of women make, do not ever make the mistake, and forgive me, not all people, don't ever make the mistake of bringing that nigga back in your house. A man is different. Don't ever make a mistake of bringing that nigga back in your house. If you know If it's confusion and you know what you have been through, you made the correct decision, baby. Leave that man where he stands and the hereditary curses that are attached to him. Protect yourself. For your kids to flourish and be the future, like we like to talk about, we have to let go in order to let live. And I know it's hard because we build a lot of comfortability. We know them for a lot, but let me tell you something. A hard pill to swallow. Life is a choice. We don't like the choices that's being dealt. So that's why we stay in situation that takes away from our very soul and our beauty. Leave that situation. It's not worth it. We all are too phenomenal to continue that on. But long story short is pregnancy is hard, but it's still beautiful. But also be mindful of who we procreate with. It's top tier. And if you see a red flag, please don't dismiss it. Thank you for your time, ladies.
Wow. Excuse me. I have to get my words in order because that was very heavy. That was very personal. So first and foremost, thank you for sharing that. You did not have to share that, but I really appreciate you for sharing that because this is a safe space and hopefully this will help somebody else. You know, you got to reach one to teach one. So your experience, I'm for your experience.
I have goosebumps. I have goosebumps.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ben.
I have
It
goosebumps.
took me a long time to get here, but like, Janisha and I have shared before in the past, like I had to choose to get myself out of that situation. Once I stood by my conviction, it has been peaceful and beautiful for me ever since. So don't ever doubt your decision. Your decision is correct. Stand by it, no matter what. Stand by that.
Amen. Thank
I
you.
know we're running out of time
Yeah.
here, but I just wanted to say how you said, Janisha, each one, teach one. Like, honestly, like, I just had like a moment myself with what you were saying because
Hmm.
um I can tell like you're so much in your healing, like the way you speak about it, it's almost as though like you're reading from a book. And I think that because like even when I finished sharing, I felt like, that I didn't really say like what I wanted to say. And I think that I'm still in that space of like kind of telling a story to like, you know what I mean? Like protect the
Hmm.
person because I'm so used to hiding and hiding and hiding.
Hmm.
And not for nothing, I feel like I keep meeting the same man over and over, like not even just in
Yes.
relationship wise, friends, like in
Hmm.
my father, and like it's crazy. So I'm trying to get to that point of healing where you're at, where I can speak freely about what I've been through and what people have done to me, because I feel like until I do, I'm gonna keep meeting the same person over and over again because I'm even hiding it from myself. And I know that that's what this is. So thank you like tremendously for that.
You're welcome, sis. I'm so glad my message was able to resonate. And like you said, this is a sisterhood, and sometimes it's beautiful to know somebody else been through it too, so you know you're not alone.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
y'all better watch out because once I do hear, I'm telling everybody,
You better
tell
sing like a
everybody,
canary. You better
you
sing
won't
like a
break my soul. You
canary.
won't break my soul.
Y'all are great, yo. You guys, this has been really heavy. This has been informational. This has been helpful. This has been real, and this has been personal. I thank you so much for your time. G, we this is what we do. This is the News London Brunch after hour for season 2. New London Stand Up. Bless y'all.